So then how can I use that equation for these things here? Well, that's easy enough. If we look at this, we can see that the initial value is 3, and the common ratio is 1/3. We're cutting it in 1/3, cutting it in 1/3, 1/3, and so on. So if we simply plug it into the equation, a sub 1 is equal to 3. We have 1 minus the common ratio of 1/3. We need to be able to do some work with our fractions, but 1/3, 1 minus 1/3 is going to be 2/3. We can do that by saying that's just 1 is 3 over 3 if we get our common denominator. 3 over 3 minus 1 over 3, that's going to be 2 over 3. And 3 over 2/3 is the same thing as saying 3 times the reciprocal of 2/3. So 3 times 3 over 2, that would end up being 9 over 2. You can leave it like that, but you can also call it 4.5, either way. You look at something like this. This is a decreasing geometric series. And this, you might say, whoa, those are big numbers, but those are hard to do. But not really so bad when you look at the next two. 125, if you take any number in a sequence and divide it by the previous number, you're going to get your common ratio. Whenever you see a 1, the next number is going to be that common ratio. So in this case here, 25 over 125 reduces. 25 goes into that 1 over 5 times. So 1/5 is our common ratio. So initial value is 625. You divide that by 1 minus 1/5. Again, common denominator is going to be 5, so you got a 5 over 5 if you're subtracting 1. So this is 625 over 4/5. Well, you flip that around, you got 625 times 5 over 2. If we're dividing by over 4. If we're dividing by a fraction, you're multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. And if you multiply 625 times 5, you end up with 3125. You divide that by 4, and you end up with 781.25. That's acceptable. You can also leave it in the fraction form. And then you look over here at this madness. When you are raising, you've got your common ratios here. You can find your initial value by simply plugging in this number into that power. So for example, up here, you plug in 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. That's going to wipe out the 3 over 5. So your initial value is 4. Your common ratio is 3/5. So you got the 1 minus 3 over 5. Well, if you do your magical 5 over 5 thing, because 1 is 5 over 5, now we have a common denominator. This is 4 over 2/5, which is the same thing as saying 4 times 5 over 2. 2 goes into 4 twice. Common ratio, or the sum of the infinite geometric series, is equal to 10, and so on.